Hey guys, I'm at the gym and I got really lucky today because guess who I ran into? I ran into Ponnell. You guys remember him from a couple months ago and you guys got very excited, so I thought we would talk about the sliding filament theory and how to actually lift weights properly. So Ponnell, you were talking about long arms, right? And we want to achieve this whole blistering, right, and scarring and making muscles that are like strong and compact and tough. But just starting with something as simple as how you use your levers. Can you explain how people do it wrong and how you should do it right?
All right. Well, first of all, I would like to say just a lot of times things just have to be readdressed. So basically what Stephanie and I had started talking about earlier was a lot of times people make the mistake of using their joints to push weight. If your hands aren't spaced apart or if you are targeting your muscles, you're going to use your joints to push weights and you don't want to do that.
No.
And a lot of times the first thing we want to do is understand what a lever is. L-E-V-E-R. Some people pronounce it lever. This would be,
yes.
okay, this would be a first class lever.
Right?
Right?
Shoulder joint?
Yes, this would be a first class. So in other words, say your weight was at the end of your appendage, and okay, this would be where the weight's at, and this is the lever. This is a first class lever. Your frontal plane, which is one of your planes of movement, would be a second class lever, which is, say for instance you do bicep curls. Your elbow would work as a second class lever. A seesaw, like in a children's park, a seesaw, that would be a third class lever. That would be if the hinge was right here. Not a hinge, but if a pivot was right here, a seesaw would be a third class lever.
Okay, so basically, over here, this light is kind of crappy. So basically what you're trying to say is that when people do, let's say, a bicep curl, sometimes they're using their shoulder joint, right? Instead of just lifting at the elbow, so you just want to use, try not to use too many joints at once to achieve this muscle contraction.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Because people are doing this.
Right.
So they're swinging the weight because it's too heavy.
Right. And a lot of times, people also get into the habit of trying to let the weight do their work for them. And because you want to wait?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to roll it through
Okay.
the sound.
And because they're getting the swing of that weight, they're not targeting their muscle because they think because they bring the weight up and down that they're utilizing the weight properly. But what's happening, as you just expressed, is they're using, what is the word for that? They're using a lot of joints they shouldn't be using, or they're using joints they shouldn't be using. So a lot of times when you do exercise, what you want to do, number one, is think about what you're doing. Think about what you're doing, visualize what you're doing, see what body parts would be involved, how many joints would be involved, and then understand or ask yourself kind of, why are you using that joint? You don't use joints to push or pull weight. They only work as levers.
Exactly.
So a lot of times, that's why, not to change the subject, but just to say, that's why a lot of people stop deadlifting or they stop squatting, because instead of trying to use the joints as a lever, they try to lift with their joint.
So we were talking about the ass to the grass squats, which you're not working at a 45-degree angle, so you're no longer.
Well. If you could remember, if you could get over here for a minute, I want to express what I expressed to you earlier. And maybe, okay, when you go down in a correct squat, and I'm using the wall so I can go down. And your quadriceps are 90 degrees from the, not more than that, 90 degrees. Because if you don't go down 90 degrees, you see where the weight's over? You see that? The weight's over your knees.
Exactly.
if you go past 90 degrees, you see where the weight's at? The weight's over your hip.
That's right.
When you go down proper to 90 degrees, the weight is over your quadriceps. See, that's where the weight would be. And it's a pull exercise. You pull yourself up.
Right.
Don't push against that weight. If you go beyond 90 degrees, you're going to have to push against the weight to come out of the pocket, involving your knees and your lower back, and you're going to pay for that down the road. So what you want to do with anything is target your muscle. You always want to target your muscle. Okay?
So as you're targeting your muscle, because you want to have, we were talking about the actin and the myosin, that there's 500.
Their actin and myosin are all called myofilaments.
The filaments, right. So there's 1,000.
There's 1,000 actin and 500 myosin. And there's 1,500 of them approximately per muscle cell. And let me see if I can pull this up. This thing will not, this computer is not, the Wi-Fi is not acting right.
Wi-Fi is not acting right.
But anyway, if anyone was to look, it's called the sliding filament theory.
Yes.
You want to create friction with your actin by continuous movement, rubbing against your myosin. Your myosin doesn't move, but the actin.
Right.
And I wish I had this diagram to pull up. I'm sorry I don't. It's not.
Darn Wi-Fi.
But anyone can look it up. It's called myofilaments. Just look up myofilaments or the sliding filament theory. And what happens is every time you flex, the actin comes in. And the myosin, if the myosin is here and there's actin over here, and every time you flex, the actin comes in together. But the edges of the actin are barbed. So continuous movement creates friction to blister the myofilament, the myosin, exactly. And after a while, a blister turns into a scab, and the scab turns into a callus. And that's why muscles are hard.
Yes.
Because you're creating friction with your myofilament.
So if you're using too many levers and joints, you're not going to create the filaments and the scarring to build the muscle.
That's exactly right.
That's how it all ties together. Excuse the noise, guys. Don't complain about the noise. It is what it is. We did this as an impromptu video because I haven't seen him for a while, and I just grabbed Ponnell and I said, let's have a conversation.
And it's good to see you.
Yeah, so if people want to learn more about, because he wrote a book, so if you want to learn more about his book.
And actually that's on the back page of the book for the people that already did purchase the book.
Oh, you can actually get a PDF file as well. So he's also sending PDF files. If you guys want to receive his PDF file, if you want to learn more about him, you can go backtrack some of my videos and see Ponnell explain a lot of amazing things about exercise. He's a genius, clearly.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you very much.
So do they still get in contact with you on your email, or how does that?
Yeah, I still have that email and the same thing that you posted before.
So what is it?
And it's ponnellj@gmail.com. And
I'll put it in the show notes below, so you guys can look for it there.
Thank you very much. And I thought I'd be able to pull this up, so please excuse me for not being able to, because sure. Yeah, well. Okay,
we're good.
But
we're
it's
good.
on the, yeah.
It's on there. So if you guys want to learn more about what he is explaining about proper form and how to build muscle, how to do proper lifts and all kinds of stuff, right? It's a lot of stuff.
And just along those lines, I always wanted to say something that I didn't express just now. Is when you, in most cases, I don't know, did I mention it? In most cases, resistance training, when you targeting the muscle means that the weight should be opposing the muscle that you're exercising. And gravity plays a big part in resistance training. So basically, the weight should be opposing the muscle that you're supposedly targeting. So
it's like you're saying about the back rows, that people are standing up, right, and they're pulling the bar in a stand-up position. Right. Right. So you've got to have gravity work towards to create this muscle contraction.
Yeah. So the bar would, so the weight. Okay. You mind if I do a real quick one?
Sure.
Okay. If you're doing supine bent over rolls, which are from the bottom two lat muscles, which is 1 and 2, and you're at a 45-degree angle, so when you come up, you don't stand up. You come up, but you don't lose position of your stance, which should be 45 degrees. So that when you're pulling the bar to your navel, if you look at the weight here, and you're pulling the weight here, look at it's opposing the muscle. You see what I'm saying? It would be opposing the muscle of your bottom two lats. If you were to stand up, look what the weight is opposing. It's not opposing your lat muscle.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So a lot of times, if you keep that in mind, the weight should be opposite the muscle that you're working most of the time. You know, in most cases, the weight should be opposite the muscle that you're working.
Weight should be opposite the muscle you're working, guys. So, like I said, I'll put his email in the show notes below. Thank you so much, Ponnell, for always giving us great information.
Yeah, it's always big fun to do interviews with you. Thank you. Thank you.
Right on. And if you guys want to learn more about keto, you can go to stephanieperson.com, Stephanie the Business Person, my Facebook fan page, Stephanie Ketogenic on my Instagram, and I'm out. Peace.
Right on. Everybody have a good day.